Hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to go over Program 9. So let's get started. So this is the page. If you go to Modules, Program 9 Preview, and this is the assignment. So I'm just going to get started by going over this assignment. So the first thing I want to do is talk about the assignment. So this assignment is going to feature some features. It's going to extend on the Lab 9 Session 2 assignment, the customer struct. We're going to manage an array of structs. You're going to have a menu options. So with your array of structs, you're going to have the following options. You're going to have your customer. Your customer is going to be in you're going to have an array of customers. So you can add, the array of customers is going to be called an inventory. So you can add in customer to your inventory. You can print the information onto the screen for one customer only. You could print the information onto the screen for only the valid customers, which I'll explain what that means in a minute. You can save to a file all of the customers, those that are valid and invalid. You can make a customer invalid. In other words, if you make the customer order invalid, you are canceling the order. So we're not going to delete any orders. We're just going to have a extra character in there that indicates whether or not the order is valid or invalid. So if it's a V, it's going to be valid. If it gets canceled, we're going to change that character to an I. All right, so then you're going to have another thing where you can print all the orders that have an amount above a certain value. So you're going to have the user enter and say, what is the value? Say $100. So you're going to print all the orders that have an amount higher than 100. Good way to practice going through arrays. The purpose of this assignment is to practice searching through arrays, managing an array of data. So, you know, these features are set up for you to practice these techniques. And then we have one last to calculate the total and the average of all of the valid orders only. So we are going to go over what that means. So in a minute, and through this, and I'm going to do some code, and I'm going to try to, help you guys get started with this. So this is our struct. We're going to use C-style struct, type def struct. We're going to have the following fields in our struct. We're going to have an order name. Please use no white space in our strings. So here, for example, if our order name is like Captain America, you can just put a dot in between, but we're not going to deal with white space. It just makes things more complicated, and there's not really any reason to do with that because our focus here is not on managing white space. Our focus is managing an array of structs. All right, so we'll have an order name. Hopefully you're familiar with this because you did the Lab 9 Session 2 assignment. We'll have an order number. The order numbers are going to go in order, and they're going to be assigned to the order. I'm going to go over that in a minute. You're going to have an amount. You're going to have a location. Again, the location, if the location is Baton Rouge, then you just don't put a white space. You can put a dot between Baton Rouge. You can put an underscore. You can put a dash, but please do not deal with the white space. And then the added feature, which is the V or the I, which indicates whether it's a valid or an invalid order. Valid means that it was an order, and invalid means that it was canceled. So now I'm going to bring up some slides here, and I'm going to draw you a visual of the array and what it should look like, so you have an idea. So we're going to declare our new data type will be customer, and we're going to declare an array called inventory, and it's going to be size 50. So we're going to pound define at the top of your program. You're going to pound define size 50. So our array is going to be size 50. When we start out, our array is empty, and this is in your main function. So this is going to be in main. You're going to declare your inventory, and you're also going to declare a variable. I'm going to call it count. and it's going to be initialized to 0 because at the moment our inventory is empty. So we have let me get a different color here. We have a capacity of 50, and we have a count of 0. The reason we have a count of 0 is because we haven't put any customers into our array yet. So let's draw this array here. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, all the way up to index 49. So later, if you decided to make it bigger, you could pound define size 500 or something. But right now, you're not going to want to put 50 customers in your array. All right, so once the next thing one of the things you're going to have to do is in order to have stuff to work with, you're going to add 5 customers. So you're going to have a function in which you're going to add 5 customers into your array. So I'm going to show you how to do that in code. This is just a visual of that. So if I were to add 5 customers into my array, it would look like this. So I would have here my customer name, my amount. Oh, I think the second field is actually the customer number. So this customer number will be customer number 1. This customer will be customer number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, all the way up to customer number 50. So you will notice there is a relationship between the customer number and the index, but the relationship is not equal. The relationship is that the customer number is 1 greater than the index, okay? And we're going to keep it that way. So I have this, and then I have my amount, $1.99, and then I have my location, FAU, and then I have my character that indicates that I'm valid. And then you'll have your next customer, which is Bob, and customer 2, and he has $3.25, and his location is also FAU, just to be easy, and he's valid. And we are going to fill it with 5 customers. So we will have another customer, number 3, which is Tim. He's number 3. He has $1. He's FAU as well, and he is valid. And then we have customer Sue. She's customer number 4. She has a $100 order. She is from UF, and she is also valid. So when you load them in, they're all going to be valid. And then we'll have one more, Geo, and he's customer number 5, and he has $5,500, and he is from FSU, and he is valid. So now we've put 5 customers into our array. This right here, this is inventory at index 0. That's the customer. This is inventory at index 1, inventory at index 2, inventory at index 3, etc. And now that we've added 5 customers, then we're going to have to, that's going to be in a function. After we've added the 5 customers, then our count is going to be 5. This count is very important because the count, so we'll just go like this. This is index 5, and this is going to be count. So count is going to be the number of the first empty slot in our array. And that's very important to recognize that. The other thing we want to realize is we have to use the dot operator. So when we're dealing with our customers, we could be at, so if we wanted to get the order number here for this customer right here, this would be inventory at index 2 dot order number. I don't know if that's the right name, but whatever. So the data type of inventory, oops. Oh, why does it do that? The data type of I don't want that. Okay. Let me zoom back out. I don't know what I clicked, but anyway, that was a little diversion there for a second. Alrighty, hopefully we are still recording and still sharing my screen. All right, so let me get a different color here if I don't click on something weird. And we will see. Okay, the data type of inventory at index 0 is a customer. That's the data type. Inventory at index 0 is a customer. Just like if I were to say customer temp, the data type of temp is a customer. The data type of inventory at index 0, because I've declared it right here, is a customer. The data type of inventory at index 0 or index 2 or any index dot order number, the data type of that is integer. This is an integer because I'm going to, and if you look at the visual, I'm going to my customer at index 2, my customer dot order number, and that data type is an integer. This data type is a character array. This data type is a double. This data type is a character array, and this data type is a single character. So if I go out of my my slides here, you will see that's exactly what I have here on the screen. My customer is my new data type. The name is a character array. The number is an integer. The amount is a double. The location is a character array. And the valid order is a single character, a V or an I. So let's take a look at the sample output to understand how this works. And then we'll go through some of, you guys can read these rules, but let's look at the sample output. So the sample output is you're going to have a greeting function that's going to welcome the user. So welcome to our customer inventory program. You can obviously be a lot more information than I've provided. And then you're going to add 5 valid customers. So we have done that here in our PowerPoint. We have 5 valid customers in our array. So, and then you're going to present the menu options. So presenting the menu options, then the user's going to pick a menu option. So the first menu option, the user, because I've already put 5 in my array, the user has selected, I just made this interesting. The user has selected the T. The T option is going to calculate the total and the average of all the valid orders. So look at this, holy cow. So this is the total of all the orders that I put in there, and this is the average. All right. So now I just went through the options upside down. It's queue to quit, similar, it's going to be a loop, just like we had in the other program. It's, queue to quit and everything else. So we're going to have a function that's going to display the menu and get the letter, and then we'll have another function that's going to process everything. So it's this very similar to our program 6. All right, but obviously we're managing different type of data. All right, so now we have our next option I selected was E. So I'm going to print all of the orders that are over a certain amount. So when you enter E, you're going to have to get the amount. Then you're going to have to search through all of the orders that are over that amount. And here you can see that Ironman has a very large order and the order is valid. I do believe that with the E, you don't have to only put the ones that are valid. You just are looking for ones that are over an amount. All right, then the next option is to select, and each time you notice the menu gets presented again. So now select an I. The I, you're going to make the order, you're going to make a customer invalid. That means that an order has been canceled, and instead of removing it from my list, I'm just going to make it invalid. So I'm telling how many orders there are. There are 5 orders in the list. So even when one becomes invalid, it still becomes a number in the list because I didn't make the option to make an order back valid again, but your list is still, so even after you cancel one, you're still going to have 5 orders in there. So your count is not going to change by making one invalid. So when you say there are 5 orders, there are 5 orders valid and invalid. All right. So now we're going to pick the number that we're choosing to be invalid, and we chose number 2. Okay, the next option I picked was C. C is going to create a report. So to create a report, you're going to put all of the data, all of the orders, invalid and valid, into a report that is going to be an external report. You're going to use fprintf and fopen to create an external file. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that on the online compiler. It works very well in Visual Studio. In Xcode, you have to put the path, I believe, to create an external file. All right, so now we're going to, it just says creating the report because it created the report, which I will show you that in a minute. Then my next one is to print all of the valid customers that are in the inventory. So that when you select this, it's going to loop through, and it's going to have a condition inside the loop to only print those that have a V here. And this is a good practice for searching through an array and searching through an array of structs. So you will see here when it prints only the valid ones, it's not printing order number 2 because I previously made order number 2 invalid. So now I'm printing there are 5 orders in my list, but I'm only printing 4 of them because only 4 of them are valid. Okay, then the next one is I select P to print the information for 1 customer. So because there's a relationship between the index and the order number, it's very easy to pick which one you want to print. So you can print invalid or valid orders. And so now I'm curious to see which one of my customers I made invalid because that was number 2. And you can see that this was the customer that became invalid and the order was canceled. So it's still in my list. I'm not removing it from my list. It's still going to be at index 1. It's still going to be order number 2. It's just not a valid order when I'm asked to add it into my total or to print the list of only valid orders. So now my next option is I went through all of the options. I went through T, E, I, C, V, P. Now add. When you add someone to the list, you're going to assign the order number automatically because it's going to go at the next empty location. So you're going to automatically assign the order number, and you're going to automatically assign the V for valid. So you just need to get the name, the amount, and the location. And then you will have that added to your list. So now I selected V to print the valid customers. You'll notice that number 2 is not being printed, but it is still in the list. I want to reiterate the fact that it's still in the list, and to check that, you enter C and it will create a report. So number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6, those are in my list, but my list actually has 6 items in it, even though 5 are only being printed because only 5 are valid. Okay, now I add another one. And now when I print them, I still have 7 in my list, but it only prints 6 onto the screen because only 6 are valid. And then I created another report. So if you create a report, you're going to use fopen and fclose inside the function. So after you close it, and then you go to create a new report, it's going to overwrite the report that was previously there. That's how we want to do it. We don't want to create or append or add data. We want to close our file pointer. And then if we create, so the report that I created earlier, if I wanted to look at it or save it, I needed to go and save it because now I created a new report and this new report is going to overwrite the old report. And then I quit. Have a nice day. So here I have the report. So this was the report that was generated. And you will see that it still has the invalid order that was canceled. So the report that you're creating is going to have everything in it. Whereas when you select V, it's just going to print the valid ones onto the screen. This is just an exercise to try different things. So we don't need to, I didn't want to put too many options. So I decided to do one option where you print the entire list into a file and the other option where you print only the valid ones onto the screen. That gives you some practice on searching for valid ones. Also, you have more practice on searching for only valid ones because those are the only ones you want to use in the calculation of your total and average. All right, so in the next video, we're going to, let's go see what else we need to say about the assignment here. And then I will do another video in which I will start writing the code. Don't know why it's not zooming in, but okay. All right, so we went over the menu commands. You have an array of structs. You're going to have a count and an array that you declare in your main function and the choice in your main function. You will put the while loop in your main function. You need to make a bunch of functions. So let's talk about those functions. You're going to have one function that greets the user, one function that's going to fill the inventory with 5 customers, one function that's going to display, ask, get, and return the character for the menu choices, one function that's going to run the program menu. So you're going to pass that choice over to this function, and this is the function not in the main. This is the function that's going to say if the choice was A, you're going to add, then you're going to call the add function. If it's a P, you're going to print the customer stuff. If it's a V, you're going to do that. So that's just like program 6, you're going to have a function to run the menu. You're going to have a function that prints only the information about one customer onto the screen. To do that, the user is going to have to enter the order number. It's very easy to get that one. If you pass the array to this function, the order number is going to be one more than the index. Print the entire valid customer inventory, only those that are valid. You're going to do that in a function. Do the report to the file, which prints all of them into a file. Declare the file pointer and close the file pointer in this function. Add a new customer to the inventory. So this, you're going to pass the inventory and you're going to add a customer at the location count. And then you're going to have to add one to count after you do that. Make a customer invalid. In other words, cancel the order. So you're going to have to get the order number. And once you make a customer invalid or cancel an order, there is not going to be an option to undo that. So if they want to redo that order, they're going to have to add it like I did with Groot. They're going to have to add it to the end of the list. We're not deleting things from the list. We're not moving things on our list. We're just keeping one list, and the size is 50. Obviously, it could be bigger, but we're just going to 50 is going to be enough. You're going to find that, putting in the data and all of that is time consuming. And then we're going to have one more function that's going to calculate the total. So the only thing I did not put in a function is to print the orders that are over a certain amount. So you just can put that loop right there in the function, in the run menu function. There's you could make another function for that, but I decided to, just for practice, to have some things in functions and some things not in functions. And so this is just to keep in mind while you're working on this, that this is an exercise to practice different programming techniques and practice and learn more about managing an array of structures. All right, so I'm going to end this. Oh, no, we got some more things. All right, so you have these are the functions that are going to be called from main. All right, this is about the inventory and the valid order. I said that. And labeling things when you print it onto the screen. Okay, you must have 5 valid records. You must use function prototypes, no global variables. You should set the upper bound to 50 entries. And to use character arrays with no white space. All right, so there is no guarantee of help at the last minute, so start on this as soon as possible. Okay, so let's end this video now, and then I will make another video when I start writing the code.